so happy to see all of you today. Thank you for coming to support everything that is going on. And we just need to move a little closer, so I appreciate you. This is how we support one another. Everything that is going to be discussed today is actually dealing with a lot of barriers that many people at WTCC and in the community are facing at this very moment. And everything that we can do as a community is very important to you, to us, and to everyone else. We created a video that incorporated 107 people from the community who are currently experiencing homelessness that tied into the Through Our Eyes project. I was looking for Tyler, but I don't see her at the moment because she is the one that brought this to life. And 3 courageous WTCC students, Tisha, T, and Johnny, were brave enough to share their stories in order for it to all be tied together. Because the one thing that we always want to do is bridge the gap, right, between what is existing outside of this place and what is happening here. I just want to also mention that some of you may see some familiar faces. Some of you may not recognize anyone. But just know that everybody in this room is here to love and support you fully. So if there's any moment that you feel that, please know that we are here to support you as well. So I'm going to start what we call the Through Their Eyes video, and just to kind of introduce everyone to what we're actually going to talk about today. Sorry.
What it felt like being homeless was empty and dark. I often would wander the streets cold or hungry, both, looking for money and never using it for any good. Always hoping someone would bring by something that I needed, wondering if anybody saw me, or sometimes not caring too. So I don't want to make it sound as if it was always about whether someone realized I was there. There were a lot of times when I didn't want people to notice that I was there, and that was more so towards the end of it. So the longer amount of time that I stayed outside, the more I felt like I lost myself.
When the lights went off, I didn't tell a soul, not even my sister. And the first 3 nights, I just froze.
When I came to North Carolina and I lost my job and I lost a relationship, I wound up sleeping in my truck and then back in the shelter system again. Down here, I knew I could survive it because what I did in New York, but I didn't want to be like that.
Once I had become comfortable with being homeless, to come outside of that comfort zone was very scary to me.
Most of my barriers are because I have 3 disabilities. My back, bipolar disorder, anxiety disorder. So I don't get much sleep, but I still try to forge ahead.
It came to a point when I had an altercation with the police that between my probation officer threatened to put me in jail at VNS because I was on pain pills too, or Panners. I was on Panners, I was using cocaine, I was drinking alcohol, I was smoking weed, and I was taking no Panners, and they told me if I want to kill myself, I can't do it on the taxpayer's dollar. So I had to go into recovery.
I had people that let me know when I was ready to do something different that they would help me, but I didn't feel like I had a way to help myself, so I just stayed stuck where I was at.
It's a combination of 54 years, substance abuse, mental illness diagnosis, justice involvement, homelessness, and then recovery. It's been a a journey that I'm continually on, because every day I have to deal with my demons, and I have to keep them in check, keep my emotions in check, and keep my focus.
And so I'm not thriving, but I'm getting by. I only get about 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, and I just have to keep going because I want to be a May 2020 graduate.
There's this community of people that know when you're coming from being homeless to having a place to stay, everything doesn't change overnight. I didn't even have a pair of black socks to be a part of my uniform, you know, and I'm just thinking about socks. You're saying I gotta have black socks, and I can't even think about the fact that the shirt and pants and shoes that I need are gonna cost money. So it was very overwhelming. And then you just are able to talk to the other people in your house about how you feel because you've become comfortable there. It's your home and you're safe, and you can say how you feel without somebody judging you, and someone's like, I know how to help you get that.
Then when I started, when I went to Harlem, I had a lady set me down after I had surgery on my leg. She said, Mr. Thomas, I'll help you get housing. I'll help you get your own place if you do what I tell you to do, because you've been doing it your way for so long and it's not done nothing. Do it my way. And I did. And it was incredible, because in 60 days she had me here for a key. And then I got Section 8.
I did go to Urban Ministries, bought home a ton of groceries and a prescription for one of my, I take a cocktail at night. There's 3 prescriptions. And so they were able to give me a prescription, a one-time thing, to get me by, and I took her to Walmart, had it filled. So that was really nice because they paid for something I really couldn't afford.
I had a high school friend who would always stop and did it enough so that I was able to be comfortable in talking to her, and she never wanted to take me out of my environment. She was always just okay with me where I was at, and that was the most comfortable thing. That was a person that I could talk to. I have an angel, and her name is Nikki, and for some reason she seemed fit to put her feet into her prayers over my life. She would often seek me out to bring me food or clothes when it was cold, or to bring a coat, or to just say, I love you.
With the student loan, you need it just to get through the semester for just general resources. But it has allowed me to purchase the prescriptions that my doctor has, given me to plug the void, the hole.
We have a responsibility, a duty to everybody in this community, that if we want it to be safe, if we want to reduce crime, if we want to reduce opiate deaths, if we want to reduce substance abuse problems, if we even want to reduce homelessness, then the community and everybody in it has to be willing to work together. Because we always say it takes a community to raise a child. Well, it takes a community to exist as a community.
Wake Tech's added to my life in many ways. Living inside of the Oxford House, I never prayed to God specifically about being able to move out. I was okay with thinking about going to school and living there in my house with my family of 9 women, and just knowing I wanted to go to school. So I start the registration process, I'm going through with it, and I make a commitment to myself to say, I have somewhere safe to stay. I want to go to school. I deserve to do that. I want to be able to help people, and this is what I'm going to do for myself.
And the faculty there has been so good to me. I mean, these instructors are extraordinary. I just don't believe that I can excel anywhere else like I have at Wake Tech in the Human Services Department.
Places like Wake Tech offer you an opportunity to make something better of yourself. They got good people that actually are patient with you. Now, nothing's perfect, and we can always find that something needs to be better. But what I've learned is, you know, you have to open your mouth. You have to be willing to talk. You have to be willing to share. And you have to be willing to sometimes keep your mouth shut and just roll with the punches, which is really the hardest part.
Somebody sitting down with you at a computer to just help you navigate the system of even being able to apply for school, showing you how to get a copy of your high school diploma. Those things are scary. When you get a list of things that you need to do, but you don't have food in your house, or you didn't pay the rent for the last 3 months because it was either buy food and feed my kids or pay the rent, so I'm almost out the door. You can't think about what you need to do to learn.
Just if a student is showing continuous effort, help them make it, because there's nothing worse than somebody who wants to achieve and can't.
One thing I've learned, talks like this is where the truth comes out. Big forums, that don't happen because the people that are the most vulnerable are going to have the softest voice, and they probably won't even be heard. So they're going to stay where they're at. Some don't want to rock the boat. A lot of people don't feel like they're going to be heard, or even if it's cared. I didn't think nobody cared. That's why I spent so many years homeless. I didn't think, who cares?
And it's not just helping the person that's sitting in front of you, it's helping the child that will be born, or the child that already is born, who may not have a connection with their mother or their father because their mother or father's trying to get an education so that they can go back and take care of their children. So it's rebuilding relationships throughout the community. I'm sure it's impacting families as a whole. If you're a homeless 22-year-old young man, you have a mom somewhere. And that 22-year-old man receiving an education from a school that understood that he didn't have somewhere to go, and giving him the opportunity to get somewhere and be safe, or have a resource center to come to, someone to help him do the things that he doesn't have access to, is going to have a ripple effect on the community.
How can you can't do it by yourself. You have to reach out and get help and support in order to accomplish your goals. So I tell people stuff, but I don't always follow on my end. So, but that's my heart. I'm always looking out for other people. That's why I'm in human services.
Come out from behind the shadows, tell your story, speak your truth, and know that you above so much deserve to be able to have your education and get it.
What Wig Tech is doing for me is just going to give me, it's giving me the exposure, it's giving me an education, and it's really giving me an internal feeling of success. My goal is however long it takes me to go through these 2 years, I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to push it too fast. I'm going to take it as it comes. Because in the end, whether I get this job or the next job, I'm going to have that. And regardless of if I ever lose my housing again, I'll still have that education. I'll still have that credential.
Thank you so much for pausing for a moment to allow us to share those stories. It's very important to me and to everyone else that is in my life that we stand for purposeful acknowledgement, understanding, and support for everyone. And that includes everyone. And it makes a tremendous difference when we do that. I first met Tisha, who has been kind enough to speak about her own journey today. And she is very eloquent and beautiful in sharing her own story. I remember the very first time I met her. I'd never met somebody so grateful for sitting in a classroom and being given the opportunity to learn. And I will never forget that day. And we have seen each other grow. We have seen each other blossom. And to this day, I know that she has a greater purpose that will exist far beyond this moment. And so please help me in welcoming my good friend, Tisha.
Hey everybody, I am Tisha Temple. I am a wonderful, beautiful child of God. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a valued employee, I'm a student, and I'm also a recovery drug addict. My substance abuse was heroin and crack cocaine. So I'm here today and I'm going to share with you guys what it was like before I was using, a little bit of what it was like while I was using and I was homeless, and what it's like now. I'm going to start off with a PowerPoint, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through the slides, and there's just a few, because we love PowerPoints. It doesn't speak, it doesn't have any words, just simply that my story isn't over. This is just going to give you a good detail of everything that I'm going to tell you so that you have some idea of who I am before I stand up here for a little while and talk. On November the 2nd of 2019, just a few weeks ago, I married my best friend. His name is Casey. He's a huge inspiration in my life because of the life that we built together that has been afforded to me through recovery. We are surrounded by friends and family that love us beyond anything that's comprehensible to me, comprehensible to me. It's absolutely beautiful for me to look up there and see those beautiful ladies standing beside me. The two at the end are my children. Casey's son is standing on the other side with his brother and stepdad and his friends. And then just so many beautiful people out there to share that day with us. 5 years ago, that was not who I am. So here is a very vivid picture of what was going on in my life 5 years ago. In this mugshot, which there were many, I was at Wake County Correctional Center when that one was taken. This was not the end of living my life in active addiction. This is just one of the pictures that I chose to use. I still went quite some time before I was able to get where I needed to be. I was lost when I look at that face. I just don't see any life left in my eyes. I was tired and exhausted. It's just a lot. Just a couple months ago, I was able to do a magazine article with a lady out of Virginia. She's a Glamorous magazine. She was gracious enough to take some really beautiful pictures of me, so it's like fun for somebody to do you up and make your pictures look like that. And she was really able to share my story, which, that was great because it's a community effort everywhere. So anytime we can get out something positive, that's what we need to do. But that's a huge difference in the woman you see 5 years ago and the woman that's here today. In that top picture on the left, if you heard in the video me talking about my angel, that's her. Her name's Nikki. And of course, that's my husband, Casey. I attend Celebrate Recovery meetings as part of my recovery program, and I love it dearly. And These are some of the women that surrounded me when I first came into that program and helped me work the steps and get to where I needed to be able to help another woman today. This picture is Sheila and Donna. I was working at IHOP on 6 Forks Road. I was there for like 3 years, so if you ate there and you see me, yeah. Because I was there all the time. Sheila and Donna live in the Oxford house that I moved into when I came to Raleigh. They are a huge part of my recovery. Those women loved me when I didn't know how to love myself. When I was married, Donna and Sheila sat with my mom. That is what they mean to me. I was broken when I went there. And they were really able to help put a girl back together. This is Officer Ryan Woodliff. You'll hear in my story about him. I won't go into great detail right now, but I was able to meet this police officer while I was sharing my story at another place. He came, and today him and his wife and his beautiful children were friends. I've been to their house. His wife, you know, invites me out for coffee. It's pretty beautiful because I was running from him. All right. Troy Mans, I'm sure some of you may recognize him. I was given an opportunity to go and share some love on iHeartRadio about the recovery community and what type of resources are out there and what things we can connect people to. And so that was a pretty good experience. But it's about having a network of people in the recovery community that can share what's going on, because awareness is the key. If we know where the resources are, if we're talking about what's going on, then we're not sitting still. We're staying inside the solution. We're telling people where they can go. We're telling people what they can do. And we're also showing the people who need the resources where they need to be. Because when I talk about telling people, I'm talking about telling the public and the community the way that they can go out and help somebody else. So this is a picture of my family. This is my mom and Crystal and my sister Charlene. They watched me go through a whole lot of things, and they weren't able to change things for me, but they were able to support me when I was ready to do something different. And this is a beautiful picture of friends that I have met here at Wake Tech, and they are a beautiful part of my life. And Nicole is in that picture. That was the first time I went ice skating. We had a lot of fun that day. With that being said, I just read this really beautiful quote on Facebook yesterday. I do not have the author of this quote. I did not write it. But it was really powerful, and I saved it to my phone, and last night I was sitting there thinking, and I thought, you know what, this is something that should be shared. It was good for my soul, and I hope it helps somebody here, and it'll just take me into talking about all the other stuff. Note to self. What is my purpose in life? I asked the boy. What if I tell you that you fulfilled it when you took an extra hour to talk to that kid about his life? Said the voice. Or when you paid for that young couple in the restaurant? Or when you saved that dog in traffic? Or when you tied your father's shoes? Your problem isn't that you equate your purpose with a goal-based achievement. The universe isn't interested in your achievements, just your heart. When you choose to act out of kindness, compassion, and love, you are already aligned with your true purpose. No need to look any further. It's pretty powerful. So with that being said, I want you to know that none of this is about me. This is what love and kindness and compassion done in my life, so that you can see the result of what it means to truly care about what's going on in the community. Okay, so now I'll just talk about me, and it'll be a little bit easier because I don't feel like it's something that I have to practice. I know it pretty well. I was born and raised in a small town, Henderson, North Carolina. I'm from Vance County. I lived there my entire life until 5 years ago. My grandmother raised me. My mother and dad, unfortunately, were suffering from substance use disorder. My dad was in and out of prison. I did have a relationship with my mom and my dad, but my grandmother protected us really, really well. So there were a lot of shelter put around us. So we were allowed to see them at certain times, but I never really knew what was going on in their life. My grandmother was a church-going, good Christian woman, so we were in church every time the doors opened. Sunday morning, Sunday night, choir practice, Wednesday night, youth service, rock-a-thons, yeah, you name it, we were there, Bible school. And as far as grades went, your grades in school, I had really good friends. I didn't really get into trouble. I was on student council, I was a cheerleader, I played softball, I got a car when I turned 16, had a job, so there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on in my life. Just some normal, everyday, I'm a teenager, my grandma's taking good care of us, we didn't have everything we wanted, but I promise you I had everything that I needed. She loved me beyond measure. I got pregnant with my daughter when I was about to turn 17. I had been dating her dad since I was 12, so that was my only boyfriend. So I had my first child, her name is River. I had her when I was 17. I graduated on time and I started at a community college, Vance Granville. I only stayed there a couple of months. I dropped out. When I was 21, got pregnant with my twins, Montana and Dakota. Healthy birth, 39 and a half weeks with 2 babies. I didn't have any health concerns. Everything in my life was good. I ate good. I exercised. I didn't smoke. And I wanted to live this perfect life with my children and their dad. And I worked very hard for a very long time to make it look like that was my reality to the outside world. Inside, I was depressed and stressed out and not wanting to be with their dad, and just so many other emotions that I can go into, but that's just a prettier picture of it. I was the mom who was at all the birthday parties. We were always in church. My kids' bows matched their dresses. It was just very important to me to look like I had my entire life together while I was being the control freak that I was. So, biggest character defect right there. With that being said, I was 26 years old on a Saturday going to a party with my friend, bachelorette party, who was getting married, and we were going out to the club, and I had never been to the club. So, 26 years old, I got 3 kids, that's what I had to do was being a mom. And so when we went out to the club, I had something to drink. One of the other girls had some Coke. I tried it with her. I popped a pill. I smoked some cigarettes. It was real. The next day, I bought cigarettes, called that girl, asked her where we could get some more of that cocaine from, and then slowly became addicted to the pain pills. Didn't want to have one without the other. Within 6 months, I lost my mind. I walked away from my children to go and live a life in the streets where I did not have to deal with anything. So I had been going to these wrong places for so long that I seen that they weren't having to do anything but what I was doing behind closed doors, which was getting high and numbing my feelings. And I was like, I just want to come over to your job. I don't want to have to feel any of this anymore. And I am a mother who loves my children with all my heart. But addiction is a disease. It took over, and it took me down some really, really dark roads. I do have an outline that I'm sharing today, so I do kind of feel as if I'm covering all of that. So I was homeless at that time. Not homeless to the point where I couldn't go to my grandma's house and knock on the door and go in the house, right? Because grandma was still gonna let me in the house. but I would only go there when I was so exhausted that I just could not go anymore. I needed to take a shower, I needed to eat, I needed to lay down. Within a year of that 6 months, I was arrested on several charges. I was doing a whole lot. So I was stealing, lying, prostituting, doing drugs, being in cars with lots of drugs, those types of things. I went to prison for the first time, and 45 days after I left prison for the very first time, I was sentenced back to prison for the second time. So 2 years hasn't even went by since the first time that I tasted alcohol or drugs, and I was already a person who had been incarcerated, not once, but twice. When I came home from prison the second time, I had decided that I was not going to use and that I was going to be a good woman. And I didn't go to any meetings, I didn't have any support, I didn't know where the resources were, and I just functioned. So I got a job, paid a little bit of bills, stayed with my sister, my grandma. It was just kind of a get by type of thing. But I had no real structure in my life, and I don't know why I was doing the things that I had been doing to take myself to prison. I was able to carry that on for about 2.5 years. 2.5 years after that, I was in a relationship with a man who was verbally, mentally, and emotionally abusive to me. I allowed that. I had a huge part in some of the things that was going on. I wanted to change him. We can't do that. With that being said, when I left the house on a Friday afternoon to go to work, I was not going to work. I was going directly back to the same streets that had taken me to prison the 2 times before, and I knew that's where I was going. I went there, new crowd of people, some of the same other people that I had known from before. Heroin had hit the streets really hard. It was real cheap. I tried it in May, snorted it in May. By the end of July, I was shooting dope and smoking crack. It was a mess. And I continued to commit many, many crimes in the process. With that being said, I had 18 open warrants the day that the officer that I showed you found me. So I want you to realize when I'm talking about him finding me that this is a part of the community effort to help people. I had ran from the police for so long that I thought that they were all against me. So this officer went to a known drug dealer's house in my community and said, I'm looking for Tisha. If you see her, I know all of this now because I'm clear-minded and we've had a conversation. If you see her, call me. I need to see her. So, lo and behold, I have a court date that's on Monday, okay? I'm planning on going to court, y'all. I'm gonna go. I got 18 warrants. I got it figured out. I know what my sentence is gonna be. I know I'm going to prison. But what had happened was 9 days prior to that officer looking for me that day, I had left with someone's car. I stole it, and I had been on a big bench for 9 days. I was sleeping outside, up under people's porches. I was sleeping on railroad tracks. Not in the car because I was scared that the cops would recognize the car. So, it was a mess. Nevertheless, the man that he gave his telephone number to, I went to that house to buy drugs about 9 o'clock in the morning. When I got there, the universe saw fit. God saw fit to use the man that I was going to buy drugs from to play a huge part in saving my life. When I went in the house, there was drugs on the table. I put my money down, and there were other people in the house that were using at that time. The last thing you want to hear is police. And the man looked at me and said, so there's been an officer coming by here, and he's been looking for you, and he told me to call him if you came back here today, and I'm going to call him. What are you talking about? And I'm like, no, I'm good, I'm going to go. And he was like, no, you're not going to make it. You are going to die You will not make it till Monday. That is what this man is saying to me. And I was so tired, y'all. I was. Not only was I living my reality in the streets of being homeless and addicted and prostituting for money and stealing and robbing, but I was also around people who were not doing those bad things to get to the position that they were in. I knew women that were sleeping in their cars because they had come from another state so that they could escape someone being physically abusive to them. I knew young guys who were trying to go to work and couldn't afford to pay bills because they were paying their child support, who were choosing to sleep in their cars. I knew people that were simply just displaced and had become accustomed to living the way that we were living, and that was okay too. So not only was I living my reality, but I was seeing a huge reality in front of me. It's pretty heartbreaking, actually. So this officer got called, he came, and I was not allowed to leave that house, and he pulled up in front of the house, and he stopped the car, and he didn't pull in the driveway, he didn't get out aggressively, he didn't take his handcuffs out, none of that stuff, he just walked up to me. And he said, Tisha, when's the last time you got high? And I said, I was blowing smoke out my mouth when you came out the door. And he said, I just want you to take some deep breaths. He was like, you know, you got a lot of stuff going on. And I was like, yeah. He said, it's over. You're going to go sit down for a little bit. And he let me smoke a cigarette. He even pulled his phone off his belt clip and allowed me to call someone so I could tell my children that I would make it to court on Monday. Because my entire family, come to find out, was worried about whether or not I'd make it to court on Monday. I was a mess. When we got in the car, he pulled to the stop sign and he stopped and looked at me and he asked me some very serious questions. He asked me, what brought you here? What's keeping you here? And what can we do to help make sure that you don't come back here? So there was no processing anything that he said at that point in time, because like I told you guys, I had been awake for about 9 days, a little off and on, and no real rest. But the words he said to me on the porch that day, I remembered in my mind, which once I got myself together, I was able to come back to the conversation that we had in the car, because I did ask that officer, why are you doing this to me? Why are you not worried about what they are doing in the house? Drugs are being sold all around us. Why is this about me? And that man looked at me and said, today is not their day. Today is your day. I did not know how much of a difference that was going to make in my life until I went to treatment in the Department of Corrections. So I did go to court on Monday. I was sentenced to go back to prison. I had been sentenced the first 2 times to complete drug rehabilitation while inside the Department of Corrections, but they are overcrowded. There may be 1,600 people on a compound, 900 of them probably need substance use disorder treatment. I'm just giving you a rough number. I don't have any facts on that. But the point being is that they were so full that I wasn't able to get into those treatment programs the first 2 times that I was there. So I get back to Raleigh, you know, this is my 3rd merry-go-round. You know, it really truly to me felt like this is a revolving door. This is what my life is supposed to be like. And a month after I had been there, a guard woke me up at 12 o'clock at night and said, pack your bags, you're going to Swan Hill. So I knew I was going to treatment. So this prison bus rides into the middle of the most beautiful mountains that you've ever seen. Swan Hill Correctional Center for Women is surrounded by mountains. It's in the valley. The leaves were changing colors. It was absolutely beautiful. I remember sitting on that prison bus and thinking, you were giving me somewhere to sit still. I see you. I hear you. I'm going to just be still for a little bit. I ain't got to get it all figured out right now. With that being said, I went through treatment in the Department of Corrections, and I was 90 days of intense working on yourself, a 30-day treatment. A 33-item treatment plan. So this lady's asking me to do a whole lot of stuff. I didn't even know who I was, but you want me to tell you my story right now. So you can imagine some of the things that was said in group therapy. But she knew what she was doing. She was passionate about helping us, and she taught us how to have relationships with other women and to trust and to be comfortable inside of our own skin. And some of those things just started to happen on their own without me even having to put a lot of effort into it, because that was the way she had helped us. With that being said, I did not have a safe and secure home plan. My home plan included, I'm going to get finished with treatment, I'm all better, I can do this on my own, I'm going back to where I came from. And 2 weeks before I was released, I went to her and said, I can't go home. She said, by golly, I think you got it. And that is where all of the community networking and people that have poured love into me comes in. I do also want to say that while I was in prison, I received a lot of outside mail. There's a lot of people in prison that do not receive any contact from someone outside. Everybody doesn't have someone. I had a lot of support. I had someone send in a Celebrate Recovery Bible to me. I was able to use the only thing that I did know growing up, which was the Bible, to do some of the things that was on my treatment plan. It all just fell into place. The case manager arranged with the prison reentry team from Oxford House Incorporated for me to be able to do an interview with an Oxford House so that I would have somewhere safe to go when I came out of prison. Curtis Taylor is the man who arranged for me to do that interview with North Hills Oxford House, and today I work for Curtis Taylor. He's the executive director at the agency that I work for. So all of these things were just lined up. It's amazing to me when I look back. The parole officer picked me up. She took me to North Hills. She said, be still. Just stay. Don't leave. Don't go anywhere. And Wake County is huge. There's a lot of resources here. There's churches on every corner. There's people who will help with food boxes and clothes and black socks. I got black socks today. And I will give lots of black socks for the rest of my life. There's always something that we have an attachment to, So there's a lot of giving and loving people and a lot of people willing to give back what has been poured into them. And so I was taken into that house and I was given shampoo and conditioner and toothpaste and sheets for the bed and made sure I had a pillow because I had the clothes on my back from prison in a bag. Because I had made my mind up, I had manipulated and used my family for the last time. I told my children, I have taken so much time away from your life that I have to take one more year. I have to do what was suggested to me. I have to go somewhere and learn how to live again. And they said, Mama, we're going to show up for you. And they did. And that's a blessing because not everybody's kids are able to do that. I see some strong men and women today who are having to do it without having a connection with their kids. But we're able to surround them and be their friends and their family today. But my kids were able to come see me like every other weekend. I got a job right away. IHOP knew that I had a criminal background. There were no secrets. So with that being said, a year and a half passed, and that's when I made the decision that I wanted to come back to school. And the reason why I made the decision to come back to school is because all the other people that had gone on before me in the Oxford houses and in the places that I was at, because you become the people that you surround yourself with, were talking to me and instilling that hope inside of me that there was something more that I could do. And a scared 38-year-old woman goes online to Wake Tech and decides I'm going to be a student. And I don't know how to do any of this. I don't know how to set up a an email account. I don't know what these passwords are. I got this little Samsung phone, you know. But it was amazing. You know, you get emails back, you get messages from student services telling you, you can come here and we will help you. We have ambassadors and people that serve as students who want to help other students that are coming in, and that was pretty amazing because they helped me do some things. So when I talk about getting a copy of my transcript and doing all of that stuff, it was real. Everything that has happened to me since I've been in recovery has been something that someone else has taught me how to do, and I live to help teach that to someone else. Academically, I love school. I'm not always the smartest student in the class, but I do show up, I do my best, and sometimes I fall short, and that's okay. I was really hard on myself in the beginning because I wasn't doing everything perfectly, and then I realized that I don't have to do everything perfectly. I have to do it the way Tisha has to do it. And my instructors are pretty incredible. I'm glad to see some of them joined us today. I'm able to be comfortable in my classes and be who I am and ask questions when I need to, and then a lot of the students are able to help as well. And so it feels good when another student calls me today and it's something that I'm able to help them with. Professionally, I work as an integrated recovery response referral specialist with alcohol, drug, cancer of North Carolina. Sorry. That was a whole lot of words at one time. What I do is provide information and give referrals to people who are seeking substance use treatment in the state of North Carolina. So, like I said about Curtis, Curtis was from Oxford House, and Curtis helped get me into my first house when he didn't know me. Curtis watched me grow inside of that house. Lynn Williams, Kathleen Gibson, Karen McKinnon, all of these people saw something in me that I didn't necessarily see inside of myself. And they somehow encouraged me to keep showing up like we had this code that you get voluntold to do something, you know? So when you're voluntold, you show up and it's doing all of these things for other people, but at the same time it's helping you grow, and it's just a beautiful process. With that, I got my peer support certificate. I went to work for a little bit as a peer support. I kept my job at IHOP, and I did decide that it wasn't for me, that I needed to concentrate on school, and that doing the peer support was too much at that time, so I stopped and I just worked at IHOP. And then about a year passed, and I was seriously ready to find work as a peer support. And I constantly became a person who was sending resumes all over the place. I thought, this is what my profession is supposed to be. I misunderstood. I'm supposed to be a professional resume submitter, and I'm supposed to teach other people how to do this because I was getting the calls. I was going for the interviews. I was offered the jobs when home office starts doing the background checks. And you can work in peer support and in human services and in counseling and therapeutic places with a background. But there was something that was holding me back. And it was defeating, right? Because it's like, this is just peer support, and I'm going to school because I want to help in group therapy. I want to do individualized counseling sessions with people and women who are suffering from substance use disorder, and I can't get a job as their peer support specialist inpatient because of one thing that's on my record. Because I got 20-some things on my record, but that one thing was the thing, and I got it. The people who were running the agencies, they liked me, and they loved the passion that I had, but they don't have any control. So boy, what did I need to do? Listen to what other people were telling me and to sit still. That when the right doors open for you, those are going to be the doors and nobody's going to shut them. And that's pretty much how Alcohol, Drug, Cancer of North Carolina plays a big part in that for me. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to work with people that I work with today. and to be able to provide the services that we provide to people. We are able to talk to family members, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, children calling about their parents, parents calling about their children. There is help available. There are a lot of resources inside of our community. We just have to be aware of where they're at. You can go online and Google places that you can volunteer. There's a lot of places. It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas time. Go on there, find out where you can go. Just to simply sometimes sit down beside somebody. It's not always about what you have to give. Sometimes it's just about being there. Community mentorship, I guess that plays a huge part in what I was saying about the people that I surrounded myself with, which includes all the people that I did name. But so many more people that have been homeless, who have used drugs and alcohol, who have come back and shown me a way. And for all of that, I am incredibly grateful. I have a great relationship with my children today. My daughter will be graduating from ECU in the spring. She started school at the same time I did. Like, she started college the same year that I did. So she helped her mom out a lot, I promise. And my youngest daughter just gave birth to my first grandbaby. And he was with me the entire weekend this weekend, and it was just good. Because there was just absolutely nothing else in the world that I wanted to do besides sit in that house, watch Hallmark movies, and hold my grandbaby. And that was a wonderful feeling today. We do recover, we do get better, and we do help other people recover. I truly believe in the words that heal people, and I appreciate y'all allowing me to share my journey with you.
I love you too. Thank you so much.
If anybody has any questions, Tisha is willing and happy to answer them as they come. That be online, or if anybody in the audience would like to ask a question, please feel free.
I asked for my personal reasons. What is the one thing, if you don't mind saying, that held you back?
My willingness to do something different as far as the substance use disorder goes.
So it wasn't something on your criminal background?
You mean holding me back from the job? Oh, I don't mind telling you at all. I had a misdemeanor assault on a handicapped person. It was me doing something that is not who I am today, and that is what held me back. However, I am registered with the North Carolina Substance Use Practice Board today. I have completed the first 300 hours of supervision. I'm currently under the 6,000 hours of supervision, and I plan to sit for the test in January. I have been notified by the board because you have 5 years from the time you register to the time that your time runs out. So to get all of the things done that they ask for and complete that 6,000 hours. When I turned in my background and my fingerprints to them, they sent me back a letter to tell me that charge would no longer be recognized after 22. So 20, yeah. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what year is it? Yeah, so 2022, that will come away from them using that about whether or not I would receive my licensure.
Do you find it ironic that four-year colleges or 2+2 colleges hold your background against you all the way back to the age of 18?
I have not had the experience of college holding my background against me. Okay. They have done nothing but lifted me up and encouraged me to use that background to do what I'm doing.
What colleges?
This college, Wake Tech Community College.
State, Garner, Webb, Leach, Gray, Mount Olive.
I'm not associated with any of those, so I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. I'm still a student at Wake Tech. Okay, all right.
I actually wanted to ask a question real quick. So, kind of bringing this back to higher education for a minute. If we're a faculty, a staff member who thinks that we have, that we might have a student who needs help, what is the best way to approach them? What is the best way to, do you call them after class? Do you shoot an email? Do you just give them a list of resources? What is the best way to handle that situation?
I think that everybody's probably going to have a different angle, and it's probably going to be a different way to approach it with each student. And so I think that as an educator, we could probably look for the signs, because all of those are good suggestions. You may feel as if you have a good enough rapport with your students so that you can ask them to stay after class, and you guys can have a good conversation about what's going on. Especially in the Human Services Department, we know that it's important to allow people to feel safe, number one. It's very important that a person trusts you. And it's very important that we do what we're doing with kindness and compassion and respect for the person that we feel may need some help. So I would just say, think about what it looks like for that individual student. And if you feel as if that email is going to do enough to get the conversation going, do it by email. Everybody's not approachable. If you can do it face to face and ask for that meeting, yeah, I think that we kind of get to know each other enough in class that we would be able to do that. And if we don't, I hope that we become aware enough to be able to do that. And keep resource sheets. Know where the stuff is at. Know where, Wake Tech's great with food, and so the food pantry is just absolutely amazing. But we're going to have a resource fair on Thursday that I get to come out and represent Alcohol Drug Council. So it's going to introduce you to some resources that are not only on campus, but resources that are in the community. So as educators and students, I strongly ask that you come so that you can get that information. You never know who's going to need something and what was the one thing in your life that was your purpose. So yeah, come get it.
Hi Tisha, I don't really have a question, I just have a statement to let you know that you're a huge inspiration to me. I'm one of the many women that you've helped through my recovery from the time I was in your hospital house to me and my peer support to now watching you inspire other women and grow, and you've helped me a lot more than you know. I just needed to tell you that. I love you.
And on that note, guys, that is our time. However, if you would like to stay and talk to Tisha afterwards, I'm sure she'll be happy to speak with you. Thank you so much for coming. Remember that homelessness in higher education, it does happen. It is here at Wake Tech. And being supportive, being that you're helping out your fellow person, showing them love, showing them care is the best thing that we can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come and